Haha, it worked. I picked up a trick about that from Rabbi. I was watching his stream, and he used to always have to sort of click to put him on stage the second like the stream started, and I learned from him that you don't actually have to do that. You can do that little countdown thing and put yourself on there just beforehand, and it'll appear just in time like this, and it's perfect. Another thing that's perfect is I think royalty, and we've got royalty tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody.
That is probably my better intro. I think that was better than last week's.
Well, let's hope the tech fairies like us this week.
Well, I certainly hope that myself. Yeah, we have improved. I have took feedback and I have put on a newer internet that I have able to acquire. So hopefully plain sailing today. So how are you?
Good. I'm actually in quite a good mood. Last week, I saw Argyle in the cinemas. I went to Manchester with my best mate, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed that movie because I knew it got a little bit of mixed reviews online, but I just sort of went in with no expectations. And I just sort of went, if it's just a fun sort of popcorn flick, that's good enough for me. If it's anything more, I'll be even more happy. And actually, I found it really surprising how complex some of the plot was. You had to actually think to keep track a little bit because it was quite a sort of twists and turns and sort of something would have been said in the first 20 minutes and then you wouldn't have thought anything of it. And then there'll be a big moment near the end and you'd be, oh, that's what that was setting up, like at the beginning of the movie, and you didn't realise.
Yeah, I remember something a bit like that in Midnight, where essentially the whole reason the Doctor lives at the end is just because he said Allons-y, and because the hostess remembered it. And then that kind of like, that's the clicking moment. You know, it's a throwaway line that you've had the Doctor say countless times before, but then, and you wouldn't think anything of it. It was just treated as a joke, and then for it to actually play a very important role at actually the end of it. So yeah, I can understand that. I have thought about going to see the movie because I actually have got Cineworld Pass that I use. I've had it for about a year, so it used to be red, and if you have it longer than a year, you get like a black card. And it's really good. You can go for as many times as you like, see a film whenever you like, how many times you like. And I've also got another card that allows me to bring a friend for free, so even better. And that was the thing. I wanted to go see that, but with my partner being deaf, we were sort of waiting for the subtitled screenings, and I think there's going to be one soon. So when that comes out, I think we'll probably go and see that one. I did
Yeah.
confuse it actually because there's another Henry Cavill film. There's something, The Gentleman.
Yeah, well, that a trailer's just come out for that. That was we sort of knew we knew he was. I say we knew. If you're like me and you're a fan and you follow him, you knew Argyle was coming out and he was doing a Guy Ritchie movie, but we didn't exactly know what it was. Just he was working with Guy Ritchie again because he worked with him on Man from U.N.C.L.E. And then a trailer came out, and that looks just brilliant. Just from the trailer, it's semi based on a real story, and it's this real sort of, the truth of it, my understanding is there was a real group that was like an early special forces sort of, when you would send just like a group in to get a job done and then take them back out again sort of setup. And it had some quite famous people attached to it, like Ian Fleming. And so it's like, that's real. But obviously the movie's probably exaggerated parts and made a bit more dramatic. But yeah, that looks just Guy Ritchie going back to his roots a bit with the sort of violence and the sort of roughness he did in his heyday with the gangster movies he was known for. And Cavill just looks like he's having the time of his life in the trailer, like he's allowed to just be this sort of maniac. And that's what I got from Argyle, actually. I feel like at the moment, Henry was typecast for a while because of Superman, because of sort of Witcher. So it was sort of those two roles that were so defining of him. And now he's just taking roles which are very out of what you'd expect for him to play.
Yeah, I did see the trailer. In fact, again, going back to Robot, I was watching one of his streams last night because I'm a few weeks behind, so I'm a bit playing catch up at the minute. And I did see that, and yeah, it's all set in the war, and I can't remember. It didn't particularly impress me. I didn't. I think the whole. I don't know. Maybe it's just a personal thing, but I think if you're gonna do a war movie, I don't know. Maybe it's just, again, maybe it's just a thing with me, but to have a comedy about it, I don't know. I saw it. Henry Cavill looked like he's enjoying himself again. He was fairly funny in what I did see. I haven't seen the trailer for Argyle yet, so I probably will have to check that out after this stream. I dare put it on this, and I'll probably get strike. So I
Oh, we
best play
will.
along. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, the trailer for Argyle, I think it actually sells it quite well because the trailer sort of makes you realise you can't take this movie that seriously in bits. It's sort of very embracing the fact that it's a movie and that you can do really ridiculous things in movies. Like, as an audience, we accept stuff more, don't we? Like, okay, it's a movie, it's going to. Whereas if it was other formats, you'd probably go, no, that makes no sense. And it is,
Yeah.
I found it quite funny. Like, it wasn't a packed audience we went, but it was pretty, like, half full, I would argue. Because if you've ever been to Manchester, the View one, Printworks we went to, it's a massive complex. There's, like, multiple floors for screens. So it was still enough people in there, and, like, people were laughing and sort of reacting to some of the action scenes because it's Michael Vaughan who's done Argyle. So if you've seen Kingsman, you know his style of action, and that's all throughout Argyle. That sort of really stylized, sort of half comic book almost fighting, but it's like slick more than you would get in like comic books. And,
Yeah.
and the
I mean,
cast is
I've
brilliant
still,
in it.
yeah. I mean, I'm still just thinking about the cinema, and because, like, I'm still quite a bit of a traditionalist. I quite like the idea of going to an actual cinema and watching a movie because I feel like, and yeah, I guess they say the industry's dying, and I haven't really looked too much into it, but I have seen a lot of reports about, I guess, Cineworld, bankruptcy and all that, and I guess the benefit and the downside of having, all these streaming platforms, all these different streaming platforms, has kind of in a way dented it. Since we've got Netflix kind of exploded on the scene, and we've had more follow suit. We've had Amazon Prime, Amazon Video launch their own thing, Disney Plus, got Hulu. What else?
They've
Apple
all got one
TV
now,
now.
haven't they? That's the
Peacock.
problem.
I never heard of that one. Peacock. I like House, the TV show House, and I had found out about Peacock because apparently that show was on there. So many of them nowadays, and it's like I kind of like, I dig that cinema experience because it wasn't even that long ago when that Spider-Man movie came out. No Way Home, is it? It's the third one. With
Yeah,
all of them.
when they had all the other when they had like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Do you mean
Yeah, I
that
went to
one?
that one, and that was on the 15th of December, I think it was, 2021, and I went, and it was packed. And everyone was reacting to it, and everyone was enjoying it, especially the scenes when they did come on. I mean, I hate to spoil it, but come on, the film's been out for 2 years. It's probably kind of been
Yeah,
ruined. It'll
everybody
be all over
knows.
the. It'll be all, and even if you haven't seen the film before, if you go to watch it, it'll be on the thumbnail, the cover anyway. I'd have thought, but yeah, and it's like everyone was loving it, everyone was reacting to it, and I remember seeing articles afterwards that were like kind of digging on people making noise in a cinema, and I get it, if you're watching some lower film and everyone's acting up, I don't know, but this is a big thing. This is event. This is it's what you go. You go for these. It's like the experience of it all as well. That's what
Yeah.
I factor in, the experience of it all.
Oh, I love it. Like I do enjoy having the idea of going in there, getting your popcorn or your drink or whatever you like, and just sitting because at the end of the day, sitting at home is nowhere near the same experience. You don't have the big screen. You don't have the surround sound. You don't have, and this is going to sound weird. I love the idea of just like you go in and it's dark and you don't think about
Exactly.
anything else. Like you can
Yeah.
completely cut yourself off. And I think, especially if you've got a movie then on top of that, which is just such a fun time to watch, or a really like I saw Oppenheimer in the cinema.
Yep, same.
And like
Same.
that was the opposite. That wasn't like a big popcorn sort of actiony. That was quite highbrow in bits, and you had to like it was quite dry because it was the topic matter. But even in that was a different film. But I love the idea of I could fully just concentrate on the movie because I was in the cinema. I wasn't doing anything else. I didn't have any other distractions that you have at home. I think.
Yeah, again, it's the benefit and the downside of it because again, it's easy. Oh, isn't it? Oh, yeah, let's just stay. Let's just watch a movie. Let's rent it off the store. You know, I think they've just released the Wonka movie. I was quite interested in. Again, that was another one I planned to go to. Never got around to it, but again, that's just come out now, and it's nicer to and it's kind of nice in your own room. But again, it's like you say, if you actually go there and then you're in a darker room, and it's like you're less likely to get distracted. You're less likely to go on your phone. Well, one because they ask you to switch it off, but you're less likely to be distracted. I just prefer it because you pay attention more. I think you're more engrossed in it. Obviously, it depends on the
Oh yeah,
film. Like I said, Oppenheimer isn't. I don't think Oppenheimer is a film you enjoy so much. I think it's more of a film you learn as you watch. I don't know. Different films do different things and have different
different
things
feels.
that they
Yeah,
give you. I
attached to
mean,
them.
yeah, every movie's different. Every video game's different. They intend to leave you at the end feeling different. Same way you'll feel different watching an action superhero film to I don't know, an historical film that was based off a person, off a certain event in time.
Yeah, but it's like but then you've got Nolan, for example, who knows the cinema. He knows he's a cinema buff. He's a fan. He loves it himself. So when you watch a movie directed by him, you really see that almost in the way he's directing because he'll do shots, he'll do certain things which just lend themselves to the big screen. Like what I loved, and it's not like a brand new technique he's invented, but I loved in Oppenheimer how some bits of it were black and white. And that just looked so good on the big screen to sort of contrast then when it was, I'm trying to remember, modern current day in Oppenheimer was black and white. And then in the past it went to colour. And it just really nicely, like in your head, helps you realise times. But like I said, because of his direction, it just looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the way, obviously, the bomb went off on screen. Like, you couldn't have that at home, that effect.
Yeah. Again,
It was made for the big screen, that whole scene when the atomic bomb went off for the first time.
And not even just the film itself, the whole kind of Barbenheimer, the kind of war between Barbie film and then the Oppenheimer. Again, that again is something quite unique. That they were both kind of competing for the top spot. They released around a similar time. I think the same day, wasn't it? Again, that huge talking point that kind of got everyone talking about it. Another example of the experience that I think a cinema can provide rather than, if they release the same day on Disney Plus or something.
Yeah, and also you've got the fun of having other people there. Even if it's just in the foyer or if you all sit together, that's just the fun of crowds. Because I also, Christmas just gone, me and my best mate went to see Panto. And one of the things I adore about Panto is the audience interaction aspect. And like we were just having such a good time because they were like coming out of the stage, coming into the stalls, they were chucking stuff at the audience. There was a whole section where it was just mayhem when like they literally had like water pistols and toilet paper. They were just chucking in bouncy balls. So it was just absolute carnage. But that's what you want at a Panto. That's the fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not something that particularly interests me, but I remember we went quite a lot with my school. We went on a number of occasions, and exactly like the pantomime, I think is built on that interaction. Like, oh, he's behind you, and this throwing sweets at the audience, and again, it's I think with it being on stage as well, actually being there, not behind a screen. I think again, it's even more immersive. I think that's the best way to describe it. Is it's very immersive.
Yeah, especially as actors then can like if something goes wrong, they can play with that, the good ones, and that's what, especially I think panto actors need to be able to do. Because one of the actors, like the pantomime dame character, halfway through a song, his costume was coming off. Like literally, just like he had got it caught in something, or he was just it was too much on. Too many other people on stage were running around, so he just by the end of the song, his wig had come off, like half his dress was coming off, and he just carried on. And then they played with that for the rest of the song, like the other actors, because it was quite funny. So that's what's also lovely. If some instead of like panicking, it's like no, let's play with this, let's run with it because it suits what we're doing almost.
And I can imagine that being quite. Would you reckon that could be quite daunting for some actors? Because again, there's no retakes. You're right there in person.
Oh yeah,
The pressure is on, So it really tests. It's really going to test your acting chops there. I think.
yeah, and that's why I think when somebody's good at it, they sort of don't they keep to panto or they're known for it, so they always have it in the back pocket. Like every year they'll do a panto because it's just. I think the thing is you have to not take yourself that seriously, and I think some actors struggle with that just in general. Like they think, oh, I'm a professional actor. I have to act serious. I have to be sort of this type. When there's other actors, yeah, they'll laugh at themselves, they'll have fun. And that's what some of them we love, like in interviews when they get interviewed, that sense of, I'm no different to you guys. I just happen to be on screen and get paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching again. As you know, I'm a big gamer myself, and one of the voice actors of one of the protagonists of Grand Theft Auto 5 has recently on his channel. He launched a YouTube channel, and just because it was the 10th anniversary of that game, he actually live streamed himself playing the game.
A lot of
And
them are doing that now, voice actors.
Yeah, and actually, I say that because he started doing it. His co-star, who was the other protagonist, started doing it as well. And he was basically, I think, at one point, he was talking about because the whole thing was, he not just play the game, he'd share his experience working in the game. He'd tell the stories of what people were like or what it was like to be on the game, to work on the game. And he spoke at a certain point. He got on the topic somehow of, I guess, sort of snobbery within the acting field, and how there's different. When people think of acting, you just think of someone on a TV screen. A lot
Oh, yeah.
of people, I guess, within the industry don't necessarily. I guess they could sometimes look down on voice actors or pantomime actors, all different types of acting, but all actors, none the same.
Yeah, there's been, for a good amount of years, I would argue that snobbery when it comes to voice actors, and especially gaming voice actors. Because if you think about gaming is still a relatively young industry compared to film and TV. So I think for a long time it had to almost establish itself as a proper form of entertainment, which is rubbish because games I would argue they can tell more powerful and more effective stories than film or TV because you are literally playing the character that it's happening to, or your influences to your choices make certain things happen in certain games.
I mean, just
And
look at the
that's
Telltale games for that.
yeah. And it's like that will impact you massively. And I also argue that voice actors, you have to have more skill than sometimes a screen actor because a screen actor is going to have props. They're going to have all the facial expressions, all the visual cues to help them. Whereas a voice actor, you've got none of that. You've just got your actual performance, the lines you record and you send to somebody else to put in the game. I know now with there's a lot more mocap, which is motion capture, so that makes performances even more sort of real. And if you've ever seen the behind the scenes, that looks just crazy when they do a lot of mocap stuff for games.
Exactly, and I think we need a lot of insight. I think insight is very important, and especially me
Yes.
when I'm doing these streams. I mean, this is my second live now. I know it's great to have you here, But I know I'm very wet behind the ears about all this. It's one thing to go on other people's channels, but to do it yourself, it's a whole different ball game. And I think I need insight. So P.D Rich, can you please give me some insight, please?
What insight do you want, my friend? Oh, don't do a Disney. Don't take a DEI loan. There you go.
Yeah, I think we all would hate to be Bob Iger right now.
Oh, yeah. You got another one against him, another case. Oh, my God. I would hate to work at Disney.
Things getting leaked left, right, and centre.
That's what I've always said in this industry, the TV industry. Do not piss off the people on set. If you piss them off, what will happen? They'll start leaking stuff slowly and faster and faster until they're just getting emails from their friends saying this happened, and they're just passing them straight on after they've been sacked. It's like, it's what happens. Don't piss people off. That's what I always said. Key rule in TV industry. Don't piss anyone off. Oh, how are you, Cinnamon?
Solid advice to me.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I just, it's just watching it. Watching a new one. They got a amendment lawsuit now about about racist hiring. God.
At the end of the day,
but yeah, about the BBC.
Yeah. Well, we've just been talking about Suze Kempner on Rabbi's channel about it. Apparently, she didn't even audition. She's a nepo baby.
Of course she didn't. Of course
she just turned around and told Richard Herring she didn't audition. It's just he did a piss take of Nadine Dorris, and you know who's friends with Nadine Dorris, don't you? It's Colin Baker. Oh, well done. You've just you just set a fire in the Doctor Who community. Oh,
come on. It was clear as day after that trailer drop she did not audition. I mean, who would employ her if she would have auditioned and given that performance?
I'm just looking at it and thinking, this is why I don't want to work down at BBC Studios is around my area. Well, one of the big BBC Studios This is why I don't want to work for them. Because it is just, we've had people over from them helping at theatre.
EastEnders set?
Yeah, something to do with that. Set? Yeah. Quite frankly, I prefer the studio across the road from it, not that studio. More fun and games there. More nicer people as well. Far more nicer people. But we literally had someone come from there, from EastEnders to our theatre, and she just tried to take the damn thing over. I'm like, who the hell are you? You've got like half the committee standing there, like chairman and all that, and she starts ordering a chairman around. It's like, what? I mean, seriously.
Well, we were just talking about...
Yeah.
We were just saying that, Charlotte, before you came on. We were talking about, I guess, is a sort of a class system, some sort of a snobbery within the acting community.
Yes, know about that. I know a West End actor, all about that one.
Yeah, because
since you work here within the theatre and you've obviously experienced, and I imagine have hands-on experience with these guys.
I got a little bit of it. Sorry, I was on Rabbi's channel. I wasn't alerted by YouTube. Sorry, Facebook. Sorry, YouTube. Yes, got it right. Yeah, got it right. I'm rambling again. Thank you, YouTube, for telling me that Brandon was on, or else I would have been straight over. Thank you.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. My notifications aren't working, but yes. We had someone when we did Blackadder. We had someone who was a television actor. Oh my God, they don't go well on stage. It's like if you got like a kind of a young kind of like secondary character kind of TV actor, and you give them the lead role, they keep forgetting their lines every 5 minutes. It's like, oh my God.
Because we were saying like theatre's such a different beast, isn't it? Like you need to have different skills almost completely from a television or film.
You have to project a lot more. Even if you're mic'd up, you have to learn to project because you're projecting to a massive auditorium. Don't worry about projecting and too much because our soundies will just turn it down if you're going too loud. So it's they got to project, learn to project, and we got to get used to how you enunciate or sing, so we know when you're going to hit the high notes and the low notes, so we can pad it a little bit. But it's completely different, and they've got to remember their part of a whole script, and they can be like from like a 49 pages on a short story. Short kind of one-man play or something, to about 150 pages long if you've got like 3 acts. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be very good in theatre, I'm afraid, unless you've got a little tiny bit part or like an ad-lib part in a pantomime or something, because you've got to be able to project to that audience. You can't come on and mumble. You come on and mumble, sound people are going to throw something. You're just going to see it. You're going to see a bottle sailing down, bottle of something, sailing down and smacking them right in the head during dress rehearsals. And you just hear a sound guy go screaming his head off. Or they don't stand in their light. That's another thing. They don't hit their marks because they're not used to like imaginary marks. They're used to tape on the floor. And then they stand halfway up the spotlight. And you got your follow spots going, oh God, what are they doing?
No, but it's like you hear the stories, don't you? Like of these big West End productions, for example. And like they bang on about, we've got such and such in the lead. And they've had no theatre experience. And it just don't, and like they get savaged by the reviewers then who come to see the show.
Yeah.
And like, then the show dies.
Yeah. Like, what do you expect? You put someone in who's just not used to, That's it with film actors as well. They're so used to just, learning one specific part for a specific scene, and they'll go and study this scene for hours in their trailer. They'll come out, deliver it, and that's it. On to learning the next part. But they don't realise, some film actors, you have to learn the whole of your part in that show and memorize it. You're not going to be walking around stage with a script or an earpiece.
Is there a sort of link between, I guess, soap actors? Because as a EastEnders viewer myself, I do find a lot of. I saw that Steve McFadden, who plays Phil Mitchell, has done about 2 different shows that I've seen.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know what on earth he was wearing, but I just think because that's quite, because you can play. I guess when it comes to theatre, you can. It lasts for a while, doesn't it? I mean, what was it? We saw Christopher Eccleston do a Christmas Carol one, and that lasted between like the 15th, just for example, the 15th of December to the 5th of January or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, and soap actors, I guess, are a little bit similar, how they work a lot more regular.
Yeah.
They're producing, 4 episodes a week, something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess with a show like Doctor Who, I guess they'll do a lot of filming for a while, but then they'll have quite a lot of time off as well.
Yeah. It's like, it depends on what part they're playing in a show as well, kind of thing. If they're playing like a very kind of small bit part, it's easier to just learn their lines, But if they're constantly they learn to play little tiny, big parts, they've got to learn the whole script. That's what you need. Somebody to feel that the Grant and Phil Mitchell types are actually really good because they learn the whole lines because they know they've got when they play big parts. They've got to learn that scene. And they're the good ones. But it's like when you got like an actor who's just, like a secondary television actor or a film actor. Sometimes they just can't do theatre. Sometimes we have to literally give them earpieces and have a prompt reading their lines into an earpiece. I haven't been on one of those myself, but I've heard stories, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I bet you've heard plenty of stories.
Oh God, Colin Baker was good though when he did the Doctor and what's his name before him? Oh, John Pertwee. So it's all coming back to me now. They were very good.
Well, yeah, you think though, back when John Pertwee was like his generation of actors, or even Collins, he was later on, but I still think it was part of the tradition. Yeah. Especially in Britain, there was still a massive tradition that you do some theatre as well as your TV work, or if you got lucky enough to do film work. Yeah, you would have theatre as your background in some degree.
That's it. That's why we used to have very good actors in this country, but now they're just taking people off of YouTube. It's like people never stepped in the limelight in their whole life. Oh, we'll just grab him. He's good. That's why when
he's
you get
popular.
He's popular. He's in a band. He's in a popular band. He came off of Britain's Got Talent, and then his career falls apart like Joe Suggs did. Oh yeah, you know what I mean. Go straight back to YouTube again. Oh yeah.
Didn't Colin do quite a lot of pantomime in that year, where in '85 where they had a year off?
Yeah, he also did a Doctor Who adventure,
and
didn't
the
he?
companions. Well, because J&T was a massive advocate, wasn't he? He was always.
Oh, he was a lovey. He really was a lovey.
Like I don't know how true this was, but I've watched a lot of the documentaries, and it was like, it seemed to me that like J&T would get them to film for hours for Doctor Who during the day, and then on the night tell them to go and do some pantomime to the local theatre.
Yeah. I know, yeah, he was very strong for that. He's just, that's why we used to have very good actors in our TV actors in our time, because they used to do a lot of theatre as well on the side. Most of them came from stage school. I mean, that's why we got like people like Gary Oldman, who's now 60. It's like he was a South London theatre boy.
Oh, Oldman, it's just like you're not going to get actors like him again.
No, this is a problem.
He's just another level of skill, that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I know people complain about Daniel Radcliffe towards J.K. Rowling, but his parents were talent scouts for theatre. So he was in the theatre. He wasn't actually going to quit before he got the part of Harry Potter.
But to be fair as well, if you don't count Rupert Grint, God love him, he was Ron.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the Harry Potter, like the young cast, they've done well for themselves since those movies. Like Tom Felton, who was Draco.
Yeah.
He was in Logan. He's doing really well.
Yeah, he also likes to go to the Harry Potter tour and sign autographs.
What's his name? David Troughton's grandson that plays a little, that little.
Oh, was he Neville in the movies?
Oh, he's doing well now.
No,
he was
Dursley, wasn't it? His last name Dursley. I think it was.
Oh yeah, Dursley. Sorry, I got the wrong actors. Yeah.
Oh, is that why he's getting jobs? Oh, I wondered. That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm going to say Job, actually. I'm going to find out who it was.
Yeah.
Now I'm in my head. Was that actor Neville or was he Dursley? I can't think.
Harry Potter.
Oh, Neville Longbottom. He's really skinny now. He's fit as a.
Well, in the last movie, I can remember, and I can say this as a Harry Potter fan of a certain age, when that movie came out, I was like, what? How did you suddenly get good looking?
I know, it was crazy.
What happened to you? You were like this sort of frumpy little kid.
Yeah,
in the first couple movies.
They went off and done a couple of seasons.
How did you get so
comedy.
good?
Yeah, done a couple of seasons of BBC comedy, and he's as fit as an SAS soldier.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Oh,
Like,
well, Neville Longbottom was
that...
played by Matthew Lewis. It wasn't Matthew Lewis, I know that. It was definitely the
so
one.
It,
I need to find
it
out
was
his name.
Dursley then, I think.
I was wondering.
Yeah,
did he get in trouble for
I've seen him in a few things now
as well? Did he get in trouble for being abusive or something, or not AG, GBH or something, minor GBH or something?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I found him.
Yeah, did he do something crazy?
Harry Melling.
Yeah, didn't he do something crazy? Get in trouble of a drug or something?
I've not seen him in a while in anything. He did pop up in a few things. You are right afterwards.
Yeah.
We've got Darren M in the chat. Welcome, Darren M.
And hello, Sudoku. You popped in before.
Yeah, well, a lot of them followed me over. Yeah, thanks for following me over, Darren. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rabbi Crew.
Yeah, that's all right. Rabbi's fine for it. It's nice. Always said to plug away. So, yeah.
I tell you what, I'm so intrigued when that reboot Harry Potter series comes out. Like, who are they going to cast? I'm so
Is that even happening? I thought that was getting canned or something.
No, because they recently had an update that they haven't nailed down the head writer, but they've got 3 writers that they're currently sort of going through the process with now to see who's going to get the job.
Oh, cool.
Isn't JK still going to be involved in this?
Oh, she's executive producer. That's not shifting.
Yeah, I remember that was why it was making the round, because of obviously if her name dares to be associated with it,
I hate people that feel like that.
And I remember they talking about it, and then it was like, oh, is Daniel Radcliffe going to come back? And then that was the big kind of thing. And then I thought it went away for a while, and then I thought it popped up again recently. And I thought, what? That show?
Yeah.
I
think it. Yeah. I think it just went away because they've just been working on it quite solidly without really talking about it. And like I said, the latest one I heard was there's 3 like head people, main writers they're looking at. So once they pick either the main, or I think it got said in like the report I saw, it could be 1 or 2 that get the gig, and then they sort of co-write it together. Could be an approach they take because of just how much of a big undertaking this will be when it gets going.
Yeah. It's going to be a big undertaking. They've got to do it well.
Yeah, but like I said, my thing as a fan, it's like
Harry Potter's the last sort of.
Yeah, so like you've
Yeah,
got,
go
I mean, you've got big shoes to fill with Harry Potter, very big shoes.
Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
one of the
I
few
would
franchises
argue.
that's still here, isn't it? Like you look at the other ones
Yeah.
out there. We've got Star Wars. it's
Oh,
on
God.
life support. It's on life support. You got
It's a
Star
zombie
Trek,
by
which,
now.
you got Star Trek, which again I will be. I don't know nothing about Star Trek. It's over there. You can see it just there. I've got the box sets ready. I'm probably gonna. That's probably what I'm gonna do with this channel. I'm probably gonna watch it and come on and talk about it, maybe review it.
Oh God!
And then I
I
suppose
got
that'll be
5 years till we hit
interesting.
season 3 of Picard. Oh my God, it's gonna be.
Yeah, and then but you've got Picard season 3, which everyone raved about.
That was
and
amazing.
I haven't watched it, but I will bow to everybody's knowledge, so that that was something good in a mist of darkness.
I will admit this. I cried at 4 episodes. It was so good. I cried at 4 episodes. I don't normally cry at things. It's just there's a few scenes that they just hit you.
When you've been trodden on so much,
Yeah.
and then you find something that is generally good.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like I have to pinch myself. Like sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Ghostbusters in years, and then like I said earlier, I'm a bit behind on Rabbi's streams, so I've not been in the chat as much. I've got about 2 weeks worth of streams to catch up on, and I just watched the one he did where he was reacting to the Ghostbusters Afterlife, the second one that's all frozen and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
Frozen Empire, I think they're
I
calling
watched
it.
that, and it's like you could tell that was a good movie. That looks like it's going to be a good movie because it just
It's
had a different
interesting.
feel to
Yeah.
it. Like it seemed like it was respecting the original.
Yeah.
Without trotting all over it as well in the same breath. And it was like that when we got Top Gun Maverick. I'd say Top Gun Maverick, the second one, that was the sort of the turning point, I think, because when we got that film,
Was it? Yeah.
and we saw how good that did, and it's like I went and saw that with my mother because she had seen the original. I'd never seen the original, but I enjoyed it, so I'm going to go back and see what the first one was like.
Yeah.
But again, that was something that was hailed, and again with Spider-Man No Way Home, that was probably the last good thing that Marvel has probably done recently. It's been all been a bit downhill since then.
Well, I was going to say, currently we have Madam Web in the cinemas that people are loving.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought, is it that's what?
Madam Dead.
The lack of promotion that was on that.
I'm literally seeing people say this is the same level, this movie, as Batman and Robin.
It's a Razzie winner, I'll tell you that.
Win a Razzie. I didn't even know it was out. I'd not heard anything about it. Honestly.
Because I think Sony knew. They were like, let's not promote this too much.
Promotion actually took it in.
Yeah, I know. I was like literally watching.
We could either promote that or could promote this channel like Darren M is kindly done. So cheers, Darren M.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it, mate.
But yeah. But like I heard, is this? I mean, maybe I might. I mean, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I have. Is this a way she can time travel or something? Or she can.
They've changed all the powers.
She can go back like 20 seconds, so something will happen to her, and then she'll like go back 20 seconds. It's a bit like Source Code. Do you remember that about Jake Gyllenhaal?
Like Galaxy Quest as well. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I thought she could see the future. I thought that was the whole gimmick.
Fire the Omega 20. Yeah. So yeah, she's supposed to be a psychic. Man, Webb, the actual character, is supposed to be a psychic. She's supposed to be an old crippled lady in a wheelchair.
Yeah, because I know the character a tiny bit from Spider-Man cartoons.
Oh,
and that's what I can remember from those cartoons, like the original one.
Late 90s, yeah, late 90s Spider-Man cartoons, yeah, or early 2000s.
We got a question here from Mark Milford. He says, "Will WB Warner Brothers protect the Potter legacy, or is it up to be a woke remake?"
I think they'll protect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask. I'll say this is a question for you, Charlotte, because again, you've got the game that they released about a year ago now. I think it just had its first anniversary.
Yes.
And that game got a lot of praise from what I hear, and you're a player of that game, so I'll probably let you speak about that.
I think they know how valuable the Potter IP is because, like you said, it was the last sort of newish major franchise we had in pop culture.
Yeah.
So they know how, like, for generations, it's got fans at this point, whether it's the book readers or the films, or like I said, recently, Hogwarts Legacy proved how much this IP is loved and how I actually think having the sort of for the last 5+ years, it's sort of been dormant a little bit. We've had a couple of Fantastic Beasts movies, but they didn't really light up sort of money-wise or the fan base. They were liked, that first one. I really enjoy the first one, but the others just then tailed off and nobody liked them. So almost because it hasn't been in the sort of forefront as much, I think it's sort of been allowed to be kept free of a lot of current day politics. And because of JK's views, let's put it that way, I don't think she would be influenced whatsoever by current day ideologues shouting at her because of what she's gone through. So I think you've got a lot of factors here that means they will protect it. I do, but then I can totally see, like, let's say, for example, they cast certain people in the show. Certain people on the internet, I can guarantee, are going to cry woke when it's not. They're going to have an absolute hissy fit because there's certain people right now that are really oversensitive to that stuff. Because
of oversensitive as them, Charlotte, just oversensitive to the other side,
Yeah, basically they're becoming what they hate.
Exactly.
So they'll see something that has got certain in their head, like, oh, it's this box ticking, for example. But that doesn't mean something's woke at all. That just means it either means they've actually just cast really well, and it happens to be that cast is from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Or they've done it for alternative bad reasons, but you don't know that. You can't cry straight away, and I think some people are. So I think they'll protect it, honestly. I think Zaslav, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, David Zaslav, yeah.
He wants to make money. He wants this to be a big thing for HBO Max, which is what the TV show is going to be on.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be very careful, honestly, with the IP.
Yeah, they're doing that with June at the moment. Everyone's screaming at June and Warner Brothers at the moment, going, "Oh, you're making Shanae the main character." It's like, no, you're not. You're making a main character. They're bringing Shanae more to the front, and it's like they're going on about it last time with the last June, going, "Oh, you've made Dr. Klein a woman." It's like, but it makes sense because they've changed the story slightly because they think the Leia Kleins. The whole thing about the original June was the old version, the old Lynch version was Lynch kind of made it so that the Dr. Leia Kleins it's probably Shanae's father. But now what they're doing is they're making it so the new Leia Kleins has probably had a mother. That's what's happening.
And that's what I think's happening at the moment.
I think I saw the first one. When it came out. I've forgotten pretty much a lot of it, so I'll probably have to watch it again before I go and watch the second one. But I do remember enjoying it. I think it was a bit slower than I thought. I thought it'd be a bit more action, but then I suppose
it's very cerebral. It's a very cerebral film. Yeah,
I suppose the action will be left for the second film.
So that's what I'm seeing a bit now. It's like, oh, it's got a female lead. Oh, it's going to be full of politics. No. Think back to the noughties and the early 2000s. We had plenty of female leads. We had plenty of main characters that were non-white, for example, as well. And they see that, some internet folks, and they...
Yeah. You had loads of characters who were
one of the most iconic kind of female protagonists of the
That's it, Cinnamon. I've literally said everyone keeps screaming at Lara Croft, "Oh, you're only with him for a broom." It's like, no. You know what? I'll tell you exactly why I like Lara Croft, because they released a new Tomb Raider that came out the other day. She was tenacious. She didn't take any crap from anybody. She was a strong female character, and she was really strong. She wouldn't take anything. You know, she thought someone was doing wrong, going to use like some artifact to blow the world up. She'd go and punch their brains in, and then destroy the artifact. She wouldn't, she would not take crap. That's what I liked about her.
Yeah, it's like was it last? I can't remember when they released it. We're getting a new Indiana Jones game.
Oh yeah,
and they released a trailer for it. And there's a female lead. There's basically Indy, who's the main character who plays Indy in this game. And there's a female second character who, to me, looks straight out of sort of the original sort of mold that we had with Marion in the first Indiana Jones movie. It's like, how does she get introduced? She's literally having a drinking competition with this big Russian-looking, like, tough thing, and she wins, and then she
Marion
gives a
Clone.
load, and then when Indy comes in, she lays into him.
Oh
She
God.
utterly sort of like blasts him because of the way he treated her.
Oh.
But nobody hated her. People love her. So
Yeah,
you can have,
Yeah.
and in a trailer, like that's what I saw in this female character, and some internet people are crying about that. And it's like,
Yeah.
have you watched the original Indiana Jones movies?
Watch Raiders, yeah.
We had loads of snarky females.
Yeah. Apart from the last one was a little bit too snarky and upset everybody.
I said original, PD.
Yeah,
I said original.
Not modern. Any modern Indiana Jones should just be locked away in a vault. No one should ever see it. See the light of day again. It's like, even by the original creators.
But that was also funny. Literally in the reveal for the game, they were like, "Oh, the original 3 movies." And it was like, "Thanks, you're not acknowledging Crystal Skull or the recent one."
Yeah.
That gives me hope you're not acknowledging the recent rubbish.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
I mean,
it's
again,
taking
I saw
over.
something a little bit similar with GTA 6 because that's going to have a female protagonist, and as you can imagine, the discussion instantly was on that as well about and it's this, it's that, and it's like, well, we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, she could be a great character. I mean, if she's constantly banging on about how I'm Latina every 5 minutes and cringe, I mean, there's supposed to be a couple. If we got cringe flirting every single 5 seconds, every line of dialogue, then but it's like especially with Rockstar as well. They're a company that is infamous for never really bending the knee. I mean, I know they've removed a transgender character NPC from the game, which I mean, I don't know if you're going to make a game where you basically it's the whole point of the game. It's a parody of just Western society of all of it. So I fully expect there'll be some perhaps woke commentary on woke, both pro and against, I suppose, in the game, because whether we like it or not, this is society in real life now. This is society we live in. So naturally, I'd imagine they're going to put it in the game. I just hope that when they put it in the game, which I imagine they will, because it's going to be set in present day, I just hope that they ridicule it as much as they probably promote it, because again, that's the whole point. It's what they've done for years when they put Hillary Clinton on the Statue of Liberty in the fourth game, and the whole thing about the whole bully game and Jack Thompson and all the people, all over the media who tried to claim that video games make people violent. I mean, I remember once, it is a story for you, because I was a young gamer, and I played a lot of these older games when I was probably a bit too young. Do you know how? And this is how innocent I was, because I went to the police station in one of these games, and there was a dildo in the shower, and little young me just thought it was a balloon. I went round the police station, beating up these police officers with a dildo, which I thought was a big purple balloon. I just thought it was a balloon, And I ran my car over into everybody. I was sick. I used to go to the train station and push people on the train tracks and get them killed, and thought that was hilarious. But I turned up fine. I've never had any violent tendencies in real life. I can assure you, as of yet. The future remains to be seen. But God, I mean,
sometimes it's best to take your aggressions out of a fantasy world than in reality. That's what I say.
I mean, if anybody grew up with The Sims, if you didn't at least once do, how can I do a horrible act to my sim in one of your games?
Who didn't lock a sim in a bedroom, set them on room on fire, or let them starve to death?
Yeah.
Or who didn't just go, right, here's your square, I'm putting it in your square with a bed and nothing else. We all did those things.
Times I forced an NPC to wee itself.
In the same point you go, there goes a ladder, there you go.
If you thought movies like Human Centipede were really grim, just watch how I played The Sims. That'll scar you for life.
We all did it.
No, I was gonna say, did you two play Theme Hospital?
Oh yes, years ago. I've got a copy around here somewhere. Physical copy. Oh, physical copy time.
Because in that, it was like Was it Bull? What they called? They made a few games like this. Bullfrog, I think they were
Bullfrog, yeah.
called.
Bullfrog.
It was EA bought them and killed them like they do with
Oh
everything.
yeah, they touch everything that dies.
And they would make like management games, but one of their big things was like the theme
Yeah.
things. So theme park, yeah, that's what they started off with. And
Yeah.
then they did theme hospital, which is you could build a hospital, you'd have to manage it, you'd have to employ staff, you'd have to research. But in that game, in that game, you could literally have the Grim Reaper appear in your hospital if you weren't looking after the patients enough.
I love the losing screen with the game over screen. You actually see a doctor hiding the bodies.
So literally, sometimes people would be like, "How bad can I run my hospital until I get my Grim Reaper randomly appearing in the hallways, literally getting his scythe and in a very cartoon fashion, like hitting people with it, and then a ghost would appear and they die. Like that was what you do. It was a mechanic in the game."
Oh, I just love the was it the announcer in there on the tannoy.
Oh, she was brilliant.
Inflated head.
Yes, that's one of the diseases you could have. You could have people with inflated heads.
Hurty knee is funny. It's just whenever I take the mickey out of someone, I say, "Oh God, they're down. They're dying from hurty knee."
Oh, it was proper that, like, when did they come out, PD? Was it early 2000s, those games?
90s, like mid-90s, mate. They were
I was going to say, was it 90s or 2000s? And it was just
Theme
that...
Hospital was late 90s. Theme Pop was like mid-90s.
It was just that proper time in the entertainment where nobody gave a flying monkeys. They could do whatever they wanted. They could pretty much get away with whatever they wanted.
All they had to worry about was the censors, you know?
Yeah. There wasn't the internet to sort of harm them. There wasn't the online aspect to like. Yeah. They could just.
Charlotte, 1997.
So it's right near the end of the 90s that came out.
Yeah, late 90s. We're like all the good games, all the violent games.
No, but yeah, like it's a shame because like I love gaming, but you cannot argue it's better the state it's in now than it was back in like the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, graphics are better, sound is better. It's you've got voiceover actors working on them now. It's just not just a fat load of text on the screen. Especially got dyslexia like I had when I've got back then, moderate dyslexia. It's like, oh God, do I have to read all this text? This text flying by. Oh, kind of Final Fantasy 7
video games to movie. At his point, because again, it's Charlotte mentioned it earlier. Like I feel more engrossed. In a character when I'm actually playing that, especially when it's in an RPG game. You know, take Cyberpunk. You know, I was going to say Elder Scrolls, but Elder Scrolls doesn't have voice acted lines for the protagonist. But even in games like Grand Theft Auto, or even in Telltale games, especially when all that is about choice, and you can shape, Lee Everett or Clementine to be, kind and compassionate.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons of Walking Dead Telltale are some of the best storytelling I think the industry's ever done.
Yeah,
I recently replayed those first 2 seasons, and that first season is better writing than I've seen movies. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite stories in video games. It's not my favorite video game. That'd be Fable 2, but it's up there. It's got to be up there. That first season. It's just, I think that's some of that. I think that season probably rivals some of the stories that they actually told on the show itself.
Oh, that ending like episode, because they're in episodes, aren't they? Like that ending episode in the first season, I was in bits. I was in absolute bits that I cried so hard. And like it got to the point that when season 2 was being advertised for that, I was a bit like, do I want to watch this? Because I got so like ate up and like absolutely ruined by the ending of the first season. That whole scene with Lee, and when he's like telling her you need to go.
Yeah.
That is like heart-wrenching stuff.
Yeah, in the Sam and Max hit everyone as well until they saw the after credit sequence. It was like it was a drift into Back to the Future. It was quite funny. I thought one of them actually died.
And they had a good thing going as well. And I did find the second season not as enjoyable. It's a very good season, don't get me wrong. But I think that first season was very strong and very consistent with its tone, the atmosphere, hell, even the music. It was very consistent. And I think the actual episodes themselves had a little bit more to them. And then I think they kind of lost their way a little bit with the third season because they kind of they threw you to a whole new set of characters. And like, okay, yeah, Clementine appears, I think, towards the end of the first one or the start of the second one. But it's like by that point, you don't really, you've not had time to really care about these new characters that you're playing as. And I think Javier was the guy's name, but it's like, yeah, but like everyone was just sat there saying, "Well, where's Clementine?" Like, and then they had one of the kid. It was annoying as hell. And yeah, I'd say personally, the third season probably the worst. And then they came up with the fourth one, and then it kind of got its tone back again, and it was really good. And then I think after the second one they released, the company went bust or something. I remember, and I remember I was absolutely gutted because I remember thinking, well, are we actually going to finish this series? Are they actually going to finish this story? And we had to wait months. To be fair, it wasn't. I don't think, looking back, we probably wasn't even that long, but we had to wait a good while before I think Skybound took over basically and finished the rest of it. They basically just finished it and they give it a good ending.
Because the guy Robert Kirkman who wrote the comics, I think it was his company that basically said we will finish making this game because they had already had ties, they'd already given money because it was his IP, and he basically was like, "Yeah, I will finish it because I know the fans want this story to be finished."
Because they went down in 2018.
Did you play Wolf Among Us from Telltale? Because that was probably the second IP thing I think is the best they've done.
I did, yeah. I did the first season a very long time ago, though.
Yeah, no, I only really played the Sam & Max games because I was a massive Sam & Max fan.
I think the problem was... Yeah, it's like a dog and a rabbit, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're kind of a bit psychotic. Freelance police officers, and they go around and just smash everything up.
Well, were they originally LucasArts?
Yep, that's the one.
That made those games.
Yeah, they never released a second game. Suddenly, the owner took it straight. The creator took it over to Telltale and said, "Do you want to finish these?" They made three seasons. That was really quite funny.
I think the problem was with Telltale, they just lost the talented writers they had. Like you can't deny, like the Walking Dead season 1 and 2, the strength of that storytelling team versus the later seasons. You could just see it. It was a bit sad.
Yeah.
The impact wasn't there. The characters, like you were saying, Cinnamon, you didn't care enough about them. And you can see they were so desperately trying to make you care. Like there was blatant scenes when they were probably thinking, oh, they'll be really like emotional, and you just weren't. Or like I found, I don't know what you found, they just wrote characters increasingly more stupid. Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
No, you're going to get yourself killed. You're going to get the group killed. It was just like bone-eyed old decision making.
Yeah, it was. It's just bad,
Pretty much.
Yeah. Don't know when they released it. They did Jurassic Park as well, and that was supposed to be really good. And they did Back to the Future. It was supposed to be.
I was going to say Back to the Future is one of their early ones, and that was quite good actually.
Yeah.
It was quite a good continuation.
I think they did a Minecraft one as well. They've done a Borderlands.
Oh yeah, they did the Borderlands adventure.
They did Game of Thrones.
Oh, they did the Batman stuff. That was good. They also had to go at Batman.
Yeah. Was Conroy in that one?
No, it was like an alternate take on Batman, because in that one, a lot of the villains got basically, it was a different origin for a lot of the iconic Batman villains.
Yeah.
And actually their Joker was actually not a bad alternate take on the Joker at all, really. It was one of the better sort of, here's the Joker but and here's the Joker with the traits you know, but he's going to get to the same point differently. So he will, at the end, be the villainous Joker character, be the arch nemesis.
Yeah.
But what if before he got to that point, he was actually friends with not Batman, but Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
And you could see, like, the whole idea was the actual deterioration of their friendship is what created the Joker, the villain, not the sort of life experiences and the whole how he got made in the comics, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just
Did
looking
you
now
have
at
me
the writers who actually did do the writing for that first season. Sean
I
Vanneman was
think-
the first one.
I think two of the main leads left like after the second season, from my memory or something.
Yeah.
With Walking Dead.
Yeah, we got 4 parts to Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah,
'Cause I can
yeah, did the
remember-
third one. The third one was it the third one? Story about yeah. Fifth, yeah. So he pretty much did the majority, I guess, of that for that first season. Who else? What about the second one? Down here somewhere. Or is this just for the first season?
This is the fun of Wikipedia trying to find season 2 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I had that. I probably should have put the episodes in it. Really, this is just the Wikipedia for the first one.
Yeah, if you put
Episode
Walking Dead.
Episode guide.
Got to the bit where Warner Brothers walks in.
Because I can remember, like, the Liam Clem...
IGN first thing pops up the bloody.
Of course. But hey-oh, they had to go at Suicide Squad, so there's still some brain cells left in that company.
They did Game of Thrones as well.
Here we go. Season 1. Now you should be able to see the
There it
writers.
is. 2016 Batman, yeah. They did Batman 2016. A couple of years before they fell apart.
Yeah, look at this second one. It's Nick Brecken, Andrew Grant, Nick Brecken again. So yeah, no, Sean wasn't even on this one.
So he didn't
That's
even...
all.
Yes, so I think he was a major writer on the first season, Sean. So I think him leaving really was the start of the impact of the quality.
Who else? Jake Rodkin, Harrison G. Pink, Gary Whitter. I don't even think they're on it either. I think it's a whole. Is it a whole new writing team? Is it anybody that's on the
Troy
on the
Baker. Yeah, did this one.
He was an alright Batman. It was one of his I'm Troy Baker voices that he didn't
I'm
really
Troy
change
Baker
his
doing
voice.
Batman, yeah. I sound a bit like I'm doing Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah. Troy's got a bad habit of that. Sometimes he changes his voice. Sometimes he just does Troy Baker voice.
I mean, look at the third season. It's the stark contrast to the rest of the first two. I mean, how many writers have they got on this? Is way too
wow,
many.
I didn't click that was that many.
And I think Nick Breton is on the first one, so he has carried over. But that's a lot of people. That's a lot of creative input from a lot.
Yeah. Because I can remember
three,
the
four,
only
8
thing that
people.
that's ridiculous. From my memory, the Liam Clem stuff just was like peak in season 1. And then the only other thing that was like, I felt even touched that quality wise was some of the stuff with Kenny, who was a character in the first season. He came back. I can't remember which season he got brought back in. I don't know if it was season 3 or season 2.
Season 2.
And like his whole like story arc with Clem was really well done. That you basically had to at one point choose him or another character to save. And it was really hard to choose because
I chose them every time. I tried to do a different playthrough recently, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
So sorry, you went with Kenny, did you?
Yeah, every time. And the whole point of this second playthrough that I've done recently was I was going to do different choices. That was the whole point, to do different than what I've done before. And then when I got to that one, I thought, could I do it? And I just hated it. I couldn't bring myself to actually know that I killed him, and that was it.
Well, what was so good about that stuff with Kenny though is you could see he was a damaged like individual. He'd lost so much, so you could understand his like more crazy actions. and he still wanted to protect Clem, and he was really like almost she became so a good daughter to him.
Well, it's like they say, isn't it? When people with mental health, they're more likely to hurt themselves than other people. And it was like, although everyone else was like, "Oh, he's dangerous, he's dangerous." I mean, yeah, he did practically he did kill her at the end, but it was more because he generally believed that she just killed the child. But again, it was always dangerous, and he always said, "Oh, you would never come anywhere near her and Clementine." So he was always. I'm just looking here. They go from about 5, 6, 7, 8 writers to just one on the last episode.
Let's see the next season, or do they keep that many? Or
well,
still got quite a few.
Yeah, it's reduced, but not by massively. And again, it's these different people. I've never even. I don't think who was the other guy? There was someone that carried over. Nick Brecken.
Probably by this point there was nobody. I've got a feeling.
I don't know one's name standing out to me. I mean, you've Adam Douglas there. No one's sticking out there to me. What was it? Fair, yeah, because I think August 14th, 2018, September 25th, 2018, January. Oh yeah, it goes. Oh yeah, so it wasn't a massive wait, but it was probably a lot longer than we anticipated. But
no, but like I said, I quite like Wolf. That was the other, I think, game they did series, and that's coming back. That's what they're sort of launching almost themselves with, because they did a Telltale like is back now technically, even though they've had to merge, I think, with another company.
Yeah, 2018.
I think the first thing they did was an Expanse game, but I don't know that IP. I've tried to watch the show and couldn't get into it. So the first sort of big IP is Wolf Among Us season 2, which I'm gonna be, as soon as that comes out, I'm either gonna play it as quick as I can or watch it. Because I just think Wolf was actually detective noir done right, and that's a hard genre to write. Like that really isn't easy because it has to be clever, it has to give you clues, but it also has to have the tone right. And I just think that sort of gritty tone was done really well in Wolf Among Us. And I like their sort of I know it was based off a comic, so the idea is an original to them, but I liked sort of their take on fairy tales, because that's the whole thing with Wolf, it's the idea of what if fairy tales actually existed and they had to coexist with the real world. So you sort of had these characters that in their world, they were princes and they were kings and they were like these important people. But then in the human world, they're in a terrible flat with no money, with no job, and they hate their existence. So it was that was the major thing with the Wolf Among Us. That was the sort of backdrop. And then you got Big B. That is the big bad wolf from all the stories, and he's the sheriff. So people don't like him because he was the villain basically in their world in a lot of the stories, and he's not very personable. He's like I said, it's very noir. He's sort of this grumpy detective that sort of snarls at people and doesn't have a lot of time. So they didn't like him anyway, and he's the sheriff, so he's got authority. So I'm really intrigued with how this comes back.
Pierre Charette, I think he was. I've seen that name. I think he was on the other one. I think he might have been on season 2.
Yeah, I think they had some Walking Dead writers maybe come over to this.
It's likely because I think this game probably came out around the same time that season 2 did. No one else is standing out. Maybe not Kent. Was it Kent? Kent Muddle. Yeah, his name stands out. Yeah, I recently bought it again. It's been a while since I played it. Probably since the 360 days, to be honest.
Yeah. God, how many series The Walking Dead are there? Jeez, 11. Wow.
Oh, the TV. God, yeah, that's been going for ages.
That's 5 or 6 spin-offs.
I got the
it's like
box set. I was waiting for a long time for them to release it on Blu-ray, and they finally did. And
Yeah.
I worked my way. I think I'm yet to start Series 10 actually.
Wow.
So I was
Close
watching.
to season 11.
I was trying to watch it in order, or in canon order anyway. You've got to like watch that, and then you'll watch a season of bloody Fear the Walking Dead as well. But yeah,
Then
that,
another
I mean,
6
I
seasons
say that kind
spin-off.
of
Yeah,
went
Good
downhill
place
after
spin-off.
Series 9.
Yeah. So the Game of Thrones. Second from last season.
Got a question here from Mark again. With the release of Sora AI text to video, how will this technology impact our favorite IPs when we can make them ourselves?
I think it will show up a lot of people in the industry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like fan stuff has always had the ability to show up the people who actually hold the IP, because fans will just do what they want, and that could either make something brilliant because there's like no like executives telling them you can't do this, or there's no other people interfering, so you can just get a pure idea, and if that's a good idea, good. But it also means you can get utter rubbish that fans can make because there isn't that checks and balance. So
Yeah, there's no one to sort of restrain them from too much fanfics.
You've got those kind of
I think a lot of
producers,
them, a lot of them can even upstage the professionals. Again, just going back to GTA for a moment, when they recently they claim to remastered the definitive edition, they call it, and they brought back the original classic PS2 era games and put them on modern consoles. And they hired a development. They hired a studio which had about 20 people, 20 or 50 people, something like that. They were far under-equipped. They were far underprepared. They weren't the right people at all to handle this. They were known for like mobile ports or something ridiculous. They were the wrong choice. And that game launched atrociously. Like I played Cyberpunk, and I encountered a few glitches, but I was able to get through it for the most part, and I was able to enjoy it again. And I imagine when I replay that game again at some point, because I know there's a Phantom Liberty DLC, so I'm sure when I get to play that again, I'll probably enjoy it more because they'll have probably updated it and fixed a lot of the issues. What was I saying there about the Rockstar games? And it was I think they started removing a lot of mods on the original versions, because a lot of people were modding the original versions and making them look amazing. And I think as soon as we started seeing those mods get shut down, was when they started released their own game, and they re-released it. And yeah, it did look relatively decent, but it performed like, I don't know,
rubbish.
an Olympic swimmer with no arms. It was awful. It was
one-legged turtle.
Atrocious, and it was the fact that like they did a job that was done far better by fans.
Yeah. I think fans have sort of always been the sort of thing to pick up, haven't they? Whether that's because the show's not been like on air for ages, and sort of the people are just holding the IP, but they're not actually making anything with it. So fans sort of go, right, we'll make like a fan film, or we'll do a fan audio, or we'll do a fan animation. Or like you said, if it's just not good enough quality. It's like, I'm not a Trekkie.
And I think because they're released in such a state, they had to rely on the fans. So the fans actually then had to go into the game and fix it for themselves.
Oh my god!
I mean, for years, like even though I like my RPGs, I'm not a Bethesda person because I don't like how they do RPGs. I think they're quite lazy.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, for God's sake, like the fans have been fixing Bethesda games for 10 years now, like because they're notorious for releasing full of bugs.
Yeah, glitchy. Never used
almost
to be. After Fallout 3, they started getting glitchy.
Yeah, it's just like now it's a running joke with Bethesda. It's like, is it going to launch? Is it going to launch with just some bugs, or is it going to launch with loads of bugs? It's like there's not a debate. We know it's going to launch a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think again, going back to Starfield, I think before that came out, I think it was literally the day before, because on Xbox it allows you to sort of like pre-download games before they actually release. So like you haven't got to spend. So like when you get the game actually in your hands, you haven't got to spend the whole day trying to download it, because that was an awful back in the day. You pre-order a game and you'd have to like spend like 3 hours just to download it.
Yeah.
Whereas this way nowadays you can just download it beforehand, and then as soon as it's actually available to you, you can play it straight away. And they updated it, which is what I did. So I downloaded Starfield before it actually got it in my hands. And the day before release, they put out an update. And I believe this update, I'm not a big, it's like 10.81 something, technical like that. And I believe the
Yeah.
update it was more updated than Fallout 4 was after like a couple of years. And that was like the big talking point as well. Like, and it's like, oh wow, Bethesda have actually like released an actual decent game, like
Working game.
performance running game. Like the game isn't launch broken. And it's like, well, yeah, but that should be the bare minimum. Like, should we really?
Yeah,
And I'm a big Bethesda fan. I'm a massive fan of the Elder Scrolls games personally. But
Yeah.
it's like even I'm like, well, shoot, like it's like, oh wow, you're getting praise for delivering actual finished game. Like, have we really like sunk that low?
Yeah.
But I think for some, yeah, because like there's just certain game companies, publishers, sorry, whether that's on the publisher side, like EA, like I joked about, or just actual developers, that just the trust level is just gone completely.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got other development, you've got other people like Larian right now that's absolutely killing it with Baldur's Gate 3, which is showing the industry basically. You don't need DLC, you don't need microtransactions, you don't need your live service. Just create a really meaty, good experience, and you will get fans keep on playing it. They will come back.
Yeah.
They will keep attend that. I don't know. They have a term. I hate it, which is like they want you to always be on like the game. That's what they want now. You can't just have a single player game. Like certain people in the industry are just trying to make that sort of disappear.
Multiplayer games, multiplayer only.
Yeah, and it's just like,
only.
no, look at what's happened with Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
That should be your example right now. You can do online stuff, which does it well for its audience. Like, I don't play it, but I love the music because I think it's and that's Final Fantasy 14. I'm not MMO. I don't really play them because it's just a time sink and I don't have the skill, honestly. But I hear the community adores that game, and it's been going for 10 years at this point because they're just really good at reacting to feedback, actually changing stuff when it needs to, and just having an absolute quality that's attached to that game, which that if you don't play it, even it's known for that at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer single player games, so I'm here for the story mostly.
Yeah, I think.
I play a lot of stuff. I'm a multiplayer guy, but I've always been a single player guy. Especially open world. Doesn't always have to be an RPG, but RPG open world story driven games are always my favorite. And I do probably find it frustrating when they're making them online. They've always got to be online and stuff. But yes, it's just one of the things that are prevalent today, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like I recently played Prey, actually. That is a diamond in the rough of a game. It's just it got such bad got such a bad rep when it was first. That's a Bethesda.
Yeah, that's Arcane, is it? Is that the studio's called?
Prey, yeah, by Arcane, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a really good game. It's really kind of what do you call it? Psychological sci-fi horror. It's not really horror. There's only one jump scare in the whole game, but it's kind of like it's very much a psychological story. It's very psychological sci-fi, very thought-provoking. It really is a diamond in the rough. And I mean, you could do some pretty nasty things, or you could do some pretty nice things. The ending that took me absolutely by surprise. I'm not going to spoil it, but Christ, yeah. And simulation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping, like I said, the successes we've just had, like Baldur's Gate. There's been other stuff in the last couple of years that have been single player which have been very story driven, which have just shown, yes, you might not be playing that game for 200 hours or whatever you can with an online game, but actually single players, when they're done right, stick with you.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I mean, the new System Shock. Did you hear about the new System Shock? That's really good. The remastered, the remake version.
I saw some people stream it and it looked really good.
That was a brilliant game. Really good port. I actually played the original afterward, but Jesus Christ, like the levels have got 90% of levels and they've just added bits to it.
I love a long game just as much as probably a lot of people. I love a game I can put a lot of time into, like well over possibly 100 hours if I have to. But with like some of the latest Assassin's Creed games, they've made them made them quite heavily RPG focused, and it was like Valhalla. It wasn't even. It's getting ridiculous at this point because they kind of claimed they defended it because they kind of just said, "Oh, it doesn't have to have the assassins in it to be an Assassin's Creed game." It's like, oh, yeah, it kind of does. That's literally kind of
or you have to counter assassins,
And it's like in Valhalla, in your sort of settlement, in your sort of like your crew, I guess there are 2 NPCs that are assassins, and that's about it. You don't get to really be one. You don't really get to really interact with anyone apart from them. And it's like, that is it. What, 2 characters? That justifies the title. And it's like, okay, you just want to have your big Viking adventure game, but then call it something else then.
Yeah.
Like, and I praise Ubisoft because they made the right decision when they released the most recent one, when they went back to its roots and they actually had you play as an actual assassin with the actual assassins around in a historic sort of similar location of the first game, and then back in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a shorter game, but it's a shorter game that follows the roots of the other previous ones. And it actually, I haven't finished the story, but I've started it and then I never really got back to it. But again, keep it simple. Go back to what works, because I played Valhalla and I've put a lot of time into it, and by the end I was just sick of it. I was like, oh, when's it finally going to end? Like, I was well over into like 100 and something. It just bored me by the end.
Yeah, it's such a fine balance, because like I love the Persona games, and that they can be easily 100 hours at least. Like, and that's like not like, oh, you just about get to 100 hours. It's like, no, pretty much if you play, especially because what Atlas likes to do, which is annoying, but now at least the fan base have clocked onto this. They'll release like a Persona main title, and like 2 or 3 years afterwards, they'll do an updated version with like more characters and more story. So luckily when I played Persona 5, I didn't play the first one that came out. I played the Royal, which is their updated edition. They've done it for the last couple of mainline games. And like Persona is one of those games that I think when I last played it properly, I did like 120 hours in that game. And it didn't feel like that was stretched at all, me playing it. It felt like, no, that felt like the right amount of time for all the stuff in there for me to play it and experience it to what I felt like was a good like fullness. And even then, I didn't technically do everything in the game, because those games are just monsters. But like I said, to me, that didn't feel like, God, when I was getting to 100 hours, like, oh God, I need this to finish. It was just like, no, I'm in this part of the story now. I'm in this act. Or I'm doing these side quests, or I'm meeting these characters.
Yeah.
So it's
when
hard.
I was going through The Witcher, really. When I was going through The Witcher again, I probably put probably the same amount of time into that I did Valhalla, and it's like that never got boring, because when I finally did finish the story, I then had the DLCs to do, and and that was what I didn't really finish. But those games, and that was lengthy, but it's it's not just length for length's sake. It was it's fills it. It's original. It was new. And it was something that I was actually immersed in, and again, never felt sick of. When you get to the point where you're actually a bit bored of it and you want it to end, then it's too long.
Yeah. Oh, Witcher 3 was great. I'm worried about the remake though. Jeez, I'm worried about the remake of all the Witcher.
I'm not even going to entertain the remake.
PD. No. I mean, we got
I'm not
an
entertaining it.
enhanced. We got an enhanced edition. I'll just stick to that. You know.
It's
Is
just
there a remake?
because
Yeah.
they're remaking the first Witcher game, but they've basically come out in interviews and said, yes, we're going to change some things from that first game to do with modern audiences. And it's like,
the invisible audience that don't exist.
oh,
This-
you
that
said the
was-
worst
that was-
words.
Don't ever say modern
Same
audience.
thing.
They don't exist.
Yeah, John. Modern audiences.
Yeah. It goes to the
Are they gonna
infamous
bring-
modern.
Are they going to bring this remake to consoles?
Oh, yeah, it would be like all the current consoles when it comes out.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, the benefit of me is that if I play that original game, if they bring it out, I'll have the benefit of not experiencing that first game or even the second game. I have actually got the second game somehow. I don't know why. It was on my Games for Gold, and I don't remember really getting it, but somehow I've got the second one. So I probably will get that. I'll play that when I eventually replay them. But so I suppose my experience with the remake will probably be different to everyone else's who played the original whenever that came out.
At best case scenario, it just means some of the more racy stuff that's in that first game.
That's what
And I
makes
mean-
it fun.
I know, but this is, you know what I'm getting at,
One
PD?
element.
If it just means they're sort of toned down a little bit of how some of the female characters were shown or written, but they still keep the spirit. That's my argument here. But they keep the spirit and it still feels like Witcher.
Yeah.
That's best case scenario. But if this is just a load of modern writers have had a look at that first game and have decided, oh, we have to change everything about that
Saints
first
Row
game,
remake. Yeah.
then it's gonna die a death.
Yeah, you have Saints Row remake. That was awful. That crushed Volition. That destroyed Volition. They still don't get it. So everyone was going, how many companies have died because of DEI stuff? Yeah, Volition. There you go. I'm wrong with others.
The thing is, though, I think even if this game doesn't do well, this remake, they've still got the next one that's set after Witcher 3 they're working on.
Yeah.
And if that's good, I think pretty much this Witcher 1 remake will be forgotten very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
October
Palette
26th.
cleanser, wasn't it?
It's announced a while ago then. It would seem.
Oh, it's been
thrilled
in
to announce that the
in
Witcher remake has been worked on. The night. Oh, that's right. The game that started it all is being rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5. That's all the rage these days, that engine. The game is currently in the early stages of development at the Polish studio Fool's Theory, where veteran Witcher series staff are involved. We as CD Projekt Red are providing full creative supervision. So is that them saying where the original team or the team that are the core team are actually on this remake?
From my understanding, it's not completely CD Projekt Red doing this. It's another development house.
Yeah,
and they are
possibly.
sort of supervising CD
That's usually how it
Projekt
goes. Yeah.
because they're doing the next mainline, sort of what's after Witcher 3, which they've announced, but we pretty much know nothing about what's in this game. We just know it's going to be time-wise after the events of Witcher 3.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah.
And then for that one, I would actually be more up for them changing the status quo a bit almost. I sort of want, we've had Geralt, we've had his story, we've had sort of a lot of the characters around him have their stories like Yennefer and Dandelion and Triss. So
Yeah, real Dandelion.
Yeah, real Dandelion. So if it's like, let's follow a completely new character in this universe and it's their saga, I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
If it's a create your own character, that like a RPG sort of setup in that sense, the more when you literally, it's not a set character you're following, it's your character you make, I'd be very up for that as well. I think this could be where they sort of change it a bit and try new things out in this one they're working on. I don't want them doing it in the Witcher 1 remake.
Yeah.
Seems
What
in
do you
the
think it's
comments
going to be?
looking now that a lot of people are quite looking forward to it, I guess.
Yeah. I got a feeling it's gonna be a next generation thing.
I think, like I said, I'm not. Like I said, I'm. If people know me, I'm very much you can't condemn something until you've watched it or played it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll very much see. It could, like I said, those comments could be nothing to worry about, or they could be something to worry about once we
Yeah.
see it.
Got to weather that storm when we hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because CD Projekt usually are very good at knowing what their audience is going to like.
Yeah. They're very good at it. They've been good at it since the beginning.
They seem to be very much in touch with their sort of consumer versus other people in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, the only game I really had problems with Witcher 2. I thought it was too much like Mass Effect 2, and it was just too limited. I didn't really like the soundtrack either. I just thought it was sounded like it was from a Hollywood action film. It was like, oh, everything I picked up. It wasn't very traditional.
Yeah, it was sort of Witcher 2 sort of had awkward middle child syndrome, didn't it?
That's it. Yeah, you suddenly get like a really heavy guitar riff, like an electric guitar riff, and it's like, what? Kind of a death metal kind of riff. And like, what's going on? And a bit of classicy kind of bit of classicy opera in the background. Like, what?
Yeah, and also like the tone in Witcher 2, it was like moving on a bit from that very grim dark sort of vibe that the first game was, which because it was basically they just adapted the tone of the books in that first game, and then in 2 it was like let's try and make it a bit more actiony, a bit more political intrigue versus, like I said, the grim dark fairy tale vibe. And then in 3 they just got the balance right. They really just got that balance right of here's your more sort of, like I said, action, sort of thriller, sort of intense moments, and then you've got your character beats which are done beautifully. And sort of what you were saying, Cinnamon, you loved that sort of fable sort of humor and that fable sort of way of telling fairy tales.
Yeah, it's that kind of that British kind of not even just that kind of. I mean, a lot of medieval. I mean, it's based off European kind of mythology, isn't it? And that's kind of a good reason why I did enjoy The Witcher probably as much as I did. Is that it was very relatable to that kind of fable experience, a lot of the banter, even sort of like even Geralt, as emotionless as he kind of could be at times, or very monotone. You could still, it's a bit like the Brigadier when I was saying before. You could those little personality moments that sort of break through the barrier every now and then, and just like how it is sort of simple, sort of is what's not tempered is lack of personality, I guess, when encountering the bigger personalities or encountering the local drunk and seeing how he reacts.
Yeah.
Or just have his conversations with Dandelion when he's like, his tone didn't show he's sort of having a joke with Dandelion. It was all in the delivery of the actual line that you were like, he's absolutely taking the out of him now. He's just having fun with the situation Dandelion's got himself into.
Oh, what this time? Yeah.
He was like, I have to save Dandelion again, like that sort of way, just to show, you've done this a lot, haven't you, mate? And you're a bit fed up of having to save this idiot.
Yeah. Dandelion's his favourite pain in the ass, pretty much.
Oh yeah, he's like his little kid brother that he loves.
Yeah. What was that, Cinnamon?
I was going to say, since we mentioned Fable, actually, there is news that there is going to be a second one now. A fourth one, in fact. Now, this is a franchise that was pretty dormant for a while. I think literally the last main game, it was 2010, I think, and it was quiet forever. I mean, obviously, then the fact they had a project, Legends, I think it was, and then that got cancelled, and then in 2016 the studio got shut down. So that was a pretty dark time, because then everyone was like, well, that's it then, really. Any sort of chance of a fourth game any time soon is practically shut down. And then there was rumors. I remember hearing rumors that they were going to bring it back. oh, there was E3. They're going to announce a new. It's going to announce a new game. And they're going to announce a new one. And then I was eagerly looking forward to it, fairly optimistic. And then E3 would come, and then nothing was given. And I was a bit sad, a bit disappointed. But it's just rumors. Got my hopes up for nothing.
It's like the
And then the
E3 that
next year-
Microsoft never showed up for.
Yeah, and it was 2013, wasn't it? Oh, TV.
That's the one.
But then the
Oh,
very
E3
next
still going. I thought
E3.
it shut down.
Oh no, it's died now, E3.
Thought it had.
It's still happening. It's just not called E3 anymore. Like they call it Summer Game Fest now. It works pretty much the same. It's like this is the world premiere. It's still got all that where they show off new games.
It's what's his name though, fronting it, that Jeff Keighley bloke.
Oh, so it's become more of a convention than a.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. It's not a physical convention anymore. Like Cinema was saying, it's sort of, it lives on in streams and developers doing their own basically little presentations.
Yeah, I think it was because of COVID as well. I think that was before COVID really broke out. That was the last one because I think they tried to do one during lockdown, and I think from that they just thought, well, we'll just do it remotely then, and it'll probably be better because it'll be more controlled. But then again, someone jumped on the stage, I think, and demanded.
Yes, they did.
Oh yeah.
Where is GTA 6? Well, there you go. A few months later, you've got your answer.
Yeah. Some guy pretending to be one of the developers.
Yeah, so that's like that year that I waited for it, and then disappointed not to hear anything. I then waited the next year and thought, okay, well the rumors aren't dying down. There's still talk out there. I thought, well maybe this year, maybe, and then it didn't happen again. And then finally the next year, I thought, oh, I was giving up, beginning to give up. Oh, come on, this is the third year now. Surely not. And then this is 2020, I think. So this probably would have been the first show they did during lockdown. And again, I thought, oh, they're not going to do it. And it was right to the end of the show. And I thought, damn it, man. They were finishing, they're wrapping it up. And then it was like, I thought, that's it. Again, another year that's gone by and they haven't announced it. And then right at the end, I think Phil Spencer or Matt Booty or whatever, he's got a funny name. Somebody said, oh, we've got one more thing to show you. And then the trailer came, and I thought, "Oh, okay, it's in a wood. There's a sword in the stone or something. Oh, there's a fairy. That's kind of mythical. Oh, and then I saw the frog eat the fairy, and I thought, yeah, that's a human. This has got to be it. And then you see it, and it says fail. I thought, yes, I punched the air. I'd never been so excited. I think that was around the time we got probably the tiniest child, so I probably needed that. I needed that.
Oh yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
To get me that. That was 3 years in the waiting. That was, but it was deserved, and I felt every moment of it.
Yeah.
And then we didn't. Yeah, so that was 2020, and then we didn't hear anything for a while. It was just a literally about 15-second teaser, just to sort of.
Oh yeah, it was just like it was just to say. Yeah, it was just to say, oh, it's happening, guys. We're not going to show you anything, but we're making it.
Oh yeah, the most recent Outer Worlds 2 trailer. Sorry, carry on.
Again?
Did you see the Outer Worlds 2 trailer?
Oh, that just took the mick. That was brilliant. That trailer
took the absolute mick out the entire game. It was hilarious.
It was just taking the mick out of announcing with nothing to show, wasn't it? It was just like, we are making it.
And then we see a character jump and heroically and land. Then we see the usual generic shot.
And then this trailer, you see here, that this is one that they kind of talked up. I saw this one. This is the most recent because they did another trailer, and this was the last one. So not E3 anymore because I don't call it that, but the most recent one.
Yeah, because
it was last summer. And then there was a big discussion about this particular character.
Yeah.
About apparently ugliness in a lot of certain female protagonists lately in video games, and then there was talk about this character here being trans, which confused the hell out of me. Again, going back to the thing about people becoming what they hate about saying being overreactionary in quick delivering things. Well, because nothing about this character looked trans to me, and it's like we found out who the actual actress or who the person is, the face was modeled off, and she was a woman. Again, rumors like that came out of nowhere. And I think the Lotus Eaters even covered it, didn't they, on a video?
Yeah, probably. Ugly characters.
And also,
I remember in this as well.
Yeah, because I can remember it was Xbox has like a developer. I can't remember what they call it. It's like their little stream they'll do every year of what the developers are working on, and it's how they announce their big titles that are exclusive. Because Xbox now has bought a lot of studios. They've got a lot of first party IP actually that's quite impressive, and Fable's one of them. So I remember watching this trailer, and I was like you, I saw all the uproar afterwards. And I was just like, have you remembered what these characters usually look like in these games?
Yeah.
Like across the board, the Notorious in the Fable games were all looking like they'd been hit by the ugly stick.
Yeah. That's the problem with it is I notice it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't actually play this stuff, and I just rant about it, and it's like Sargon, don't do that.
That,
like,
yeah,
do some
that was the
research.
thing with
You're
when
good
they did the Doctor
You're
Who
good at
stuff,
research,
and it's like
Sargon.
a lot
Do
of the
some.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
look at all
Yeah,
the
a lot of the guys
main
that have watched it.
characters in the Fable
I mean,
series.
it's a medieval
They
game
look
as well.
like
If
Yeah.
you're playing Fable and expecting, you know, the latest Miss Universe to come on, although Miss Universe is
Yeah.
probably not a woman herself, but you know, you're looking in the
I
wrong
like that
direction.
Dragon
And again,
Age.
there with
Yeah.
Lotus Eaters. I remember when they did their
Yeah.
Doctor Who video, and it's like
Yeah.
they even said themselves like you haven't even watched it since like after Series 4. It's like, and again
Yeah.
with Tim Pool, when we're again going back to the whole female protagonist in GTA 6, even Tim Pool was like, "Oh, I don't really play it properly. I just mess about and do cheats." It's like, well, then how can you give a fair
What's the
opinion on
point
it then?
then?
If you've
Yeah.
not experienced it properly,
Yeah.
then your opinions. I'm saying you can't have one, but you know, it's because they say out what it is. If you've not experienced something, don't talk about it. Like, again, that's why I don't really mention
Yeah.
Star Trek as much. I've got no idea. I can't compare because season 3 to season 1 and 2. I just got to sort of loosely go off a lot of what other people are saying, but I won't have a definitive opinion myself. I
Yeah.
just
yeah,
think,
but it's like cinema. See if you can get up some of the protagonists, like the main characters from the other Fable games. Like they've all got this sort of over the top cartoony look about them that they look like some sort of like a child has tried to with clay make a character. Do you know
Yeah.
that sort of look? They've always looked like that. So to me, I saw this
Face-to-face, yeah.
female and I was like, she looks exactly like the rest of the characters I've seen in Fable games.
Anyway, it's not out yet, so it might be a first render as well.
exactly.
This is
I
a
mean,
new
we
one.
didn't even see any gameplay either. So,
Well,
well,
you
I
know.
think they said something about in-engine. I don't really understand what that means, to be
Yeah.
honest. But
If it's an engine, they're basically saying it's not cinematic. It's been
Yeah.
made in the game technically. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's essentially
Well, there you
you-
go. That's fair enough. So, like, that was another big thing, like you said. I think you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, like, oh, there's no, you just announcement for an announcement. You're not showing us anything. It's like, well, and everyone was like, well, there's gameplay in engine or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I look forward to it because I mean, they're also very dated as well. These are early 2000s. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the first one came out in 2004, and then the second, in 2008. I mean, I'm trying to find a good picture.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a picture, and all the characters actually are fairly attractive, like this one.
Well,
Random characters.
because I can say some of that's artwork, and you can always draw pretty. I'm sure if you look, I've seen people play these old games, and like the kids in these games look like something out of a nightmare. The child characters.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to have a laugh, go and listen to what
I mean, the
my
one
mate
I've got
Larry
on the
says
screen
about
now looks
it.
like a brick shit house. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking. A lot of the NPCs are always a bit awkward looking, but again, it's charm, really, isn't it? I think. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. But if the game's not out, it could be an early render. So you can't count your chickens until they're hatched, really.
Plus, as well, like from my memory, you make your own characters in the other Fable games. So does this mean maybe we're not creating a character this time? She's the character you're going to play, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, this is a somewhat of a character customization, not in so much now where you could again start a cyberpunk and you can customize everything in your hair like before you get into the game, and then like back then, I mean, you could only play as a male in the first game, and then the second and the third introduced the option to play as a female. and you'd
that's
get a
pretty cool.
preset look. You couldn't customize. You get a preset look, and then once you get into the game, then you could get like a different hairstyle or dye your hair and dye your clothes and do that. But that was about it, to be honest. It was never anything massively in depth about the character customization. I mean, there was one here that was probably this is what your female character would look if you picked a female character.
I mean, just look
That
at
was
that,
it.
like the
That was horrible.
style. That's just what I'm trying to get at. The style of these games have never been to create good-looking characters.
Just an avatar, really. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think. I mean, even looking at that, I don't even think that's that
Not
ugly.
bad,
I mean,
that one is.
Again, it seemed to me like a lot of fuss about nothing. That seems to me like a decent, what someone would look like. To be honest, in that kind of era, I'm not.
Yeah, in medieval times, definitely. Yeah.
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 It's like in Dragon Age Origin,
I'd be surprised
really.
I'd be a bit surprised if I came on the game and saw, the Kardashians all over it.
Yeah.
No, I don't want hair extensions and all that.
Yeah. One thing I like about
realistic to what I'd imagine character looking.
Yeah, I was going to say, so one thing I liked about Dragon Age Origin is everyone had yellow teeth. It was like, if you notice the main characters, the adult characters, they all had yellow teeth. It was like, wow.
And also, and here's my bugbear, and this is like, I know I'm being fussy. Like, when this game comes out, I need to hear British voice actors.
Yeah.
It does my head in when you've got American voice actors trying to do a British accent because they're in a medieval setting, whether that's a Dragon Age or fantasy setting. And some of them can do it very well, and you wouldn't know. But some of them can't. And it's so obvious when it's like, just get British people in to do the UVOs. They don't have to be incredibly well-known British voice actors. Just get somebody with an actual British accent. Because you're American, you've got here.
Well, I wouldn't
fake
too much
it that
about
well.
that. I believe. Yeah, when they announced that it was coming back, that was the thing I worried about. Because again, this is at a time where we were in the heights of the Whittaker era, and the culture war at its peak. And I thought, after the extreme high of the fact that it was coming back, and then sort of got a bit of a low and thought, oh yeah, but like, what if it's ruined? Like Saints Row, like that. Oh wow, that came back after years, and look what they just did with that. And I worried about what they would do to it. And I thought, well, it has to be a British. It's like Doctor Who. It has that sort of British. It's a British institution. It's a British game, and it has the British humor. And only really the British can do humor like that, like we do. So I thought it has to be done right. And then when they said that it was going to be developed by Playground Games, who makes the Forza Horizon series, again, I think they're a British company, so again that filled me with confidence. And Phil Spencer, I think he made it clear that like they wanted to keep that in as well. Which, I mean, it's the bare minimum, really. It's not the same game if you haven't got that core of what makes it what it is,
Yeah, loses anchorage. It really does. Point?
Well, yeah, because like you sort of said, British/European fantasy is very different to American fantasy. Like the style of writing, the way it's treated, and I would say the type of characters. Like in British/European fantasy, you get more. How do I put it? Like you don't get. Not everybody's a paragon of goodness. You get more sort of grey, slightly. Morals can be a bit more dicey. Like your characters in those fantasy can be a bit more darker. Whereas in American fantasy, your leads are always. They tend to be anyway. I don't want to generalize too much, but they tend to be a bit, I'm a farm boy who's done nothing wrong in my life, and I'm going to go.
Aragon,
I'm going to be an adventure, and it's going to be brilliant. Whereas European and British fantasy, you're more likely to get like somebody who's had a horrible life, and they've got to do a job for a bit they ate, and then they happen to go into a bit of adventure. Like it's a very different way of telling the story.
Yeah, not the Star Wars kind of trope of farm boy.
The Aragon. I mean, God, I remember watching that
Yeah.
years ago. I think they were supposed.
Oh, that was a
I
bad
don't think it did
movie.
very well, so they never.
Yeah. I worked with Ed Spillis
I
once.
think
Very
I remember
briefly.
liking it, but I think he didn't perform very well, so they didn't make any
No.
sequels. Because I later found out when I got older,
Yeah.
apparently there were books as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
There's
they
a whole
released a
book
game of
series.
it. They had a movie game of it, which I remember me and my sister played quite a lot. So there was that. But yeah, it is very like it's all very a farm boy, and it's all nothing,
Yeah.
And
Very
it's.
Star Wars.
I think if you're gonna do it, and it's like, oh, he had an egg, and he had a secret egg, magic egg in his back room, and it's like I'd rather it be like more relatable, like you just like you're nobody, and then you sort of find yourself in it, a bit like a sort of spiraling thing. Again, I keep
Yeah.
going back to Grand Theft Auto. You start out as a nobody, and then you do a job
Yeah.
for somebody, it goes wrong, you meet somebody else, you do a job for them, you meet somebody else, and it spirals, and you get into you get deeper and deeper in a grittier world.
Yeah.
When you have something actually happening to you, and you happen to be at the wrong time, at the wrong place, wrong time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Story of my life.
well, yeah, it's sort of that thing of destiny being the big thing in some stories that gets the character to start their journey, which can be done well, but a lot of the time it's not done well. It's just, oh, I just happen to be living my very simple life and a magical thing happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas,
or a typical one would be like, like there'll be a character, and his father will have died when he was a young boy, and he never knew him, and then like his uncle raised him, and then
oh
when he was
yes,
old enough, he showed him this is what your father worked for, and they
or like,
did this
or
to
like,
a degree in
here's
Assassin's Creed 2. But
no, but it's like
that,
all the
yeah.
trope of like, oh, the uncle had no money or something, but he just happened to hide a big old sword that the father had, which was pristine condition, so he
Yeah.
could give it to the son to get him on his. And it's just like,
You weren't
no,
ready for this yet, but now
Yeah.
you are.
It's a Star Wars arc. It's just like the lightsaber and all that. Farm boy
No.
lightsaber.
Yeah. Whereas, and this is the other thing I love. I love D&D for this to watch, because if you watch a lot of D&D streams, if they're done well, like the first like 2 or 3 streams are just them doing utterly banal jobs. They're just like, right, we'll look on the notice board. What can we do as a group to get a bit of like
Yeah.
money? Oh, and then some old woman's like, I need you to find this for me. And it's not world ending. It's not like
Yeah.
everything's gonna, the fate of the world depends on. It's just like, no, we just need a bit of money so we can have a night in the inn and
Yeah.
get a bit of food. Like that's how D&D starts, and that's what I love about it.
Modern day. Sorry, I'm just thinking about modern day D&D where they don't do any work.
Oh yeah.
Just hungry men are dying within two what do you call it? 2 sittings.
Yeah, no, they go straight on to like the council just picks the most random group of adventurers to go do this world-ending trip.
Yeah.
It's just like, no.
Yeah.
You need to kill some rats in somebody's pub.
Game-wise, or...
Yeah. Oh yeah, just like Team America. He goes, you can either do this or I'll show you the door. Bye. Find someone else. Oh.
Game stuff. Indiana Jones. No, that trailer really impressed me. It
Oh,
felt Indiana Jones. It just the developers clearly love those original movies.
Yeah.
And it's not so much a game, but it's really strongly indicated that we're gonna get either a Switch 2 this year or a sequel sort of console to the Switch. And my Switch has probably been one of the consoles I've played the most in my life as a gamer. So I adore that system. But the problem is with it, it's now 8 years old, and there's certain games I'd love to play, but I can't, because the Switch just can't handle them. It's not powerful enough. So I'm really intrigued what this Switch 2, like that's sort of, we don't know what it's going to be called, but that's what name's getting bandied around as sort of a placeholder at the moment. Because Nintendo can either do a really good sequel console and it can like actually innovate and do changes that are needed, or they can do a Wii U and it can be terrible.
Oh yeah.
So I'm
supposed to be a thingy for the Wii, wasn't it? Supposed to be like an expansion to the Wii that just turned into its own console.
So I'm sort of waiting with bated breath a bit with what this Switch 2 is going to be this year. Because like I said, I adore my Switch. So if it can be anything close to that, but with more power, that I can actually play some games which traditionally could never be able to be on the Switch original console. That's what I'm hoping. We'll see. With Nintendo, like I said, you can't predict them.
Because they're a little bit behind, like you said, 8 years old. That was back in the generation of the PS4. So it seems like they're a little bit behind, aren't they? And then when they catch up, to probably because they're even saying now that PS5 is probably entering the latter stages of its. I think this current generation hasn't been really great at all.
No.
PS5, Xbox Series X. I don't think we've had that many, era-defining games for this generation. I mean, normally it takes like the first year or two. You can sort of forgive because they're still getting used to the new technology, but it's like what big games actually have we had that like feel really different to previous generations? Like, okay, we're gonna get GTA, but like perhaps games that have had a big window between releases. I just don't think this has been a particularly massive era for this generation 9th generation consoles, is it now?
Yeah.
I think
so.
I think the PS4
Anyway.
lasted 7 or 8 years, and I think we're just entering 4. I mean, yeah, they released in 2020, late 2020, I believe, and it's just 2024 now, and I'm already hearing news about like the winding down to the latter stages of the console's lifestyle, and it's like that life cycle. It's like, have you even begin?
Yeah, the thing is, and this is something Nintendo does have in its sort of corner, because their consoles tend to last for quite a while, whatever system they do. They have a lot, usually by the end of a lifespan, you've had a lot of high quality games on that system because it's had the time to breathe almost, to have the developers create these massive games. And I think the Switch has had so many titles. Like even like I can't appreciate Zelda, but I know people adore the 2 Zelda Switch like iterations, whether that's Breath of the Wild or the Tears of the Kingdom. Like I said, I've tried Breath of the Wild, but I just couldn't get on with it. Can't deny the quality there. It's just not for me. But you've had like, and this is what also I'm excited for with Switch 2. The Switch for me showed a change almost in Nintendo, that before they wouldn't really cooperate with third parties that well. You would rarely get any third-party games on their systems. And the Switch seemed to be a massive change for that you would get so many ports from different developers. You'd get Bethesda games on there. You'd get Atlas. Like I said, that's how I played Persona on my Switch, because finally the Persona games came to it. You've got Ubisoft, which is usually supported Nintendo, to be fair. But it's other people that never usually would play nice, or Nintendo would never usually play nice with them. That's probably the more accurate way to describe it. So I'm intrigued with this Switch 2. Are they going to? I'm really hoping they carry on that we do carry on to get these ports that we thought, oh God, they'll never work with Nintendo, but they did.
Yeah.
So they could get this port. Because we've had some, and usually if it's a high enough sort of, if it's a game that's renowned enough, you usually get a very good port. It's usually not a shoddy job.
Yeah.
So I'm just, like I said, it's rumoured. Like I said, we don't know when it's going to drop this year at some point, but basically we know it's coming because a lot of very credible journalists, who actually the few that are still like the credible ones in the game industry, have said, I can tell you dev kits for the Switch 2 have been going out. Like developers have been talking about this. So they're getting their heads up. They're getting sort of a preview of the systems, which they'd have to do so they can make games for it. Like Nintendo would have to give developers enough leeway and notice. So when it launches, I'm hoping there's some good titles, because that was one of the problems with Switch. When it launched, there wasn't any real knockout games. There was a Zelda game, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Nintendo learns. But like I said, Nintendo can learn, and then it can take 5 steps back. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
The future is bright. The future is
Yeah.
bright. But I think we've been going for 2 hours, so I think that's probably about a fair time to probably
Sure
leave it
thing.
there. I don't want to do it too long. I don't want to do it too short. I think an hour and a
Yeah.
half, hour 50, well, 40 minutes to 2 hours. I think that's a good length, to be fair. Anything more than that, then just
And look,
going on.
no lag.
Yeah.
No lag. Yeah, we have
and
improved.
no technical issues, really.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going.
I haven't had to jump off the stream every 10 minutes.
Yes, that
on
as
and off, on
well.
and off. But yeah, this has been. I've enjoyed this one a lot better than the last one because it's actually here.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot smoother. We've had some good actual questions in the chat. We've had some good people pop in.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We've had Mark, we've had Darren, and Stuck who came in at the beginning. Thank you very much.
And it's not. And I'm not stopping there because it's going to be busy, and we're going to be on what? We're going to be on. Brent, I'm going to be on Sunsphere tomorrow, I believe, with Brendan. I'm doing something with Sean. I'll review it yourself.
Oh,
I think towards the end of the month as well, and then possibly, if the stars align, there'll be something in the works with possibly something over at Type 40. But who knows? Who knows?
Oh, cool.
Like I said, the future is bright. The future is bright. Have you got anything you guys are up to, both on streams or just in your personal life?
Not really.
You'll catch me on Type 40. Actually, we recorded it last week, and I don't know when it's going to come out because Dan is currently editing it. But it was really fun actual roundtable on Type 40, which was a new strand Dan sort of starting to develop. And the idea is we get 3 or 4 topics, and it's sort of that setup of we all say what we think, we talk about it. There was a lot of fun discussions because the live shows on Thursdays are a bit hectic, and we love them for that, and we have so much fun. But you can't have a debate at times. You can't have a proper sit down and discuss some of the topics. So that was lovely to actually have the different format to try that. So keep your eyes out on Type 40 for that when Dan has finished editing and uploading it.
As usual, I'm always in the Rabbi's chat. You'll find me there normally, and I'll be on the Knoll sometimes. He's having a little bit of a rearrange at the moment, so we don't know 100% when we're going to be on next, but we'll be on sometime. Normally Wednesdays.
Yeah, I think Wednesdays. He said that's going to stick. So you'll catch both me, PD, and Cinnamon as well when he's free on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Popping them in
I
the
think
chat.
that's pretty much everything, I believe. Oh yeah, we'll put Brendan's up there as well. He's been good to give him a little. Well, I dare say,
the first time I've actually had to put
mine,
Knowles in the chat.
Usually on the channel when you're doing that, we're not.
Yeah, normally on Knowles' channel.
It's the opposite, you know.
Yeah, do it the opposite way around.
I did. I speak to Noel actually about that. I didn't know if that was this Friday or next Friday.
Sure.
And something about Tuesdays as well. So just figuring out when everyone's actually what everyone's doing at what time, really.
Sure. Just Rabbi's. We're done. Okie dokie. And yeah, there we go. I think that's all the channels we mentioned. Ah.
Got shot.
See you later, Darren. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Thank you very much, Darren, for popping in. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the Rabbi crew for coming over and just giving a bit of their time tonight. I really do.
I always tell them to come in after Rabbi's channel because he'll hit me.
Yeah, I don't feel bad now. Don't afterwards. You can always watch it and catch up.
He'll odd job with his keeper.
Naughty PD. Naughty PD.
No, he's a sweet fella.
He cares, so he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably leave it there. 2 hours and 5 minutes. That's a good length. So thank you,
Hey,
everybody.
Your
for
hour's up.
watching. Thank you to my panelists. Fantastic as always. And we'll see you somewhere. Somewhere
See you
soon.
soon.
Somewhere. Not in the distant future. Bye
Somewhere out
bye.
there. See ya.
Keep watching the skies.